right, my friends, how are you today? Aaron here, bringing you your new moon horoscope for Wednesday, November 23rd, 2022. Happy Sagittarius season. It feels good to get that sun out of Scorpio into Sagittarius, our mutable fire energy. We've got a lot to talk about here. We've had 2 eclipses. We've got this new moon. We got to go back a little bit in time to figure out how we got here, wherever this place is in space and time. Is a very difficult eclipse, very difficult couple of transits that we've been going through since I haven't seen you. Mars retrograde. We'll talk about it all. So let's go back here to the Aries full moon. Okay, that's when this started. Started is we can use that loosely. It's about identifying the things that are going on again, and the accumulation of leading them to the eclipses and to this new moon here, which is, let me just come back and say real quick, this is probably the most positive new moon of the year. All right, there's a lot of positive and forward momentum energy. First off, that it is a new moon, and it is at the early degrees of Sagittarius, as well as Venus and Mercury are conjunct in Sagittarius right now, which is a very positive new philosophy, new ways of looking at life, new ways of looking at our perspective of our own minds, of ourselves. So, speaking of self, let's go back to that Aries full moon. You know, I heard a lot about this, and I'm actually kind of glad I've taken a little bit of time for myself here to not talk about astrology, to come back and talk about this now. Because this transit, and oftentimes we look at this as about our relationships with other people. This, to me, this particular full moon and the energy that is created around it, and especially with Mercury being here in Virgo, with Mars being in Gemini. Now, this is about your relationship with yourself, okay? Not relationship with everybody else. This is about your relationship with you. And you have multiple relationships with yourself. There's your emotional relationship with yourself. How do you communicate with yourself? All right? There's how am I actively doing something for myself? Now, Mars being here in the sign of Gemini, of course, this is about communication as well. How are we communicating with ourselves? Are we communicating with ourselves in a positive way? What is the relationship with myself in getting up in the morning? What is my relationship with myself and food? What is the relationship with myself and drugs? What is the relationship with myself and habits? What is the relationship with myself and escaping? You know, Saturn and Aquarius there. Am I escaping using technology? Am I escaping? What is my relationship with myself? Now we fast forward into the eclipses. Okay, and we had the full moon, or the full moon over here in Taurus, illuminating from Scorpio. That was the hard one. The new moon in Scorpio wasn't, the new moon solar eclipse wasn't the challenging one. It was the full moon in Scorpio. Because the moon is over here in Taurus saying, this is what I emotionally need for comfort, for stability, for support, for safety. And then we have the south node in Scorpio, which is about our relationships with other people on a larger dynamic. This is about groups. Like, look what I can build by myself. Look what we can build together. You know, the Amish can raise a barn in a day. They can build a barn in a day. I can't do that by myself. We need the community. And Scorpio is a sign of community. And it's a sign of, look what you can do, what they can do, what we collectively can accumulatively do together. So it is about action because it is the ruling planet of Mars. And it is also the ruling, or the sign associated with Mars, and the sign associated with Pluto, okay, about transformation. So we have Mars, which is about action, taking action. We have Pluto, which is active transformation. We're transforming and changing something. So here's wood. We're going to take that wood. We're going to actively change it into a violin. Now we can use that violin and make beautiful music and inspire people and play the strings. You know, and now we're going to hear this beautiful moment in the crescendo, and then there's the kissing scene, and or we can play that same instrument, and now we're going to create suspense and dissonance for a horror thriller movie. Okay, we can use and manipulate. Okay, it's a part of the power and beauty of the Scorpio energies. With manipulation, we're manipulating the tree into an instrument. We're manipulating the instrument into making us feeling a sensation, feeling an energy. Okay, so during Scorpio season, Mars has been in retrograde. It's a very, very difficult. Mars retrogrades once every 2 years. And it's extremely difficult because Mars is our motivation. Mars is our planet of motivation, action, getting things done. When Mars is in Gemini alone, in and of itself, it's very confusing as Mars is entering the house of mirrors. We are having a difficult time navigating or seeing through the fog to go to the end goal. Okay, the goal here is not to be lost in the house of mirrors. I can be lost in the house of mirrors as long as I want to, if I want to enjoy that space. But if my goal to go in the house of mirrors is to really get to the other side, it's right now we're in this place of I don't know how to get there. And I don't know what words I need to get there. I don't know what words to communicate to the other to get there. And because we've had the sun over here in Scorpio connecting with the South Node and Mars over here in Gemini, what has been going on, my friends? We have the individuals that are using spirituality, using knowledge, using whatever to point out your flaws. Okay? Why? Because when I think about your problems, I don't have to think about my problems. If I'm looking at you and if I'm looking at all the things that I can point out that's wrong with you, I don't have to focus on me. Okay? So this creates an issue. This creates a lot of issues. So one, we have maybe our friends or passerbyers or individuals coming out of the woodworks letting you know what's going on with yourself, what's wrong with you. And at the same time, there's this underlining, just be yourself, in this spiritual world. Just be yourself and people will love you. It's just like, yeah, just be yourself. And then somebody's going to come out and tell you why you being yourself is wrong and you shouldn't do that. But it's extremely hypocritical. It's extremely... It's terrible. It's terrible. It's like be yourself, but not like that. Because it bothers me. And if you're bothering me, then I don't want to hang out with you. It's so confusing. Anyway, so people are coming out of the woodworks to explain to you the problems that are wrong with you or what's wrong with you or what's going on or why we should fix something. And it's just like this is under the magnifying glass right now. Okay? And Sagittarius in general... is the magnifying Jupiter, Sagittarius, is the magnifying glass. Let's fast forward here. I'm going to do this. Let's go back to where we're currently at, November 23rd. Here we go. All right. And at 5:57 p.m. Eastern savings time, Eastern Standard Time. That's right. We don't have daylight savings anymore. Excuse me. So we have these beautiful conjunctions going on here. Scorpio season here, and Mars retrograde. This is about communication, active communication, digging up crap in the trenches. For what? Because at the end of the day, people want to feel comfortable. Now, there is a double-edged-sided sword. All of the swords. There's 17 sides to this sword. And they're all sharp as hell, man. Because here's the thing. Comfort. What is my comfort? I like to give harsh examples sometimes. And a homeless person is very comfortable. Can be very comfortable in the streets. Very comfortable in their space. That's not really... They're not. But it's the lifestyle that they got used to. We can get very used to this lifestyle. We can get very used to calling out other people for their BS. And we can get very used to not looking in the mirror, paying attention to our own stuff. We can get very comfortable talking bad about ourselves, telling ourselves that we're worthless, telling ourselves that we're not good, telling ourselves that other people are right, that I'm messed up and time again, and that I'm doing it wrong. It's just like, whatever, man. People, I think one of the best things I've ever seen is like someone takes a picture of a stick and is like, here's a picture of a stick. And then online, people can argue about it. Like, that's not a stick, it's a log. It's not a log, it's a twig. It's not a twig, it's a branch. And it's like, all they're doing is saying, here's a picture, And we, as individuals can decipher and decide and nitpick amongst ourselves on what the thing is. All right. What makes you most comfortable? What makes you feel safe? This is a very, very interesting term, or words, and what makes you feel safe. My parents, when I was younger, told me just get a job, marry a company, and put in your time, get your pension, and get out of there. It's like that doesn't exist for where I'm at now. I can't do that for a company. That safety doesn't exist for me. And it takes radical measures in order to reach safety. Okay, it takes radical things for me to be able to be safe and comfort. All right, now why is that? That's because we have, of course, Uranus here conjunct the North Node in Taurus. So we're still, in a sense, talking about the eclipses. We're talking about where the energy's been in the past couple of months. What is your relationship with yourself? Okay, coming back to this. If your relationship with yourself is good, now here's again a 17-sided sword. When somebody else is coming out of the woodwork to try to tell you what you should be, what you shouldn't do, or whatever it may be, if your relationship with yourself is healthy, you can take a look at that. Okay, what feels safe for this person to be able to communicate that? You can take a look at this self for yourself and determine, is this accurate information? Is this somebody that's coming out to say something to give me constructive criticism? Is this somebody saying something that's just supposed to be criticism? Can I take this? Am I a strong enough individual to be able to take this kind of heat, to take this kind of constructive criticism or whatever it may be? So let's take a bigger picture look at that. Now, if you can't handle fame, the universe will never put you in alignment with it. Why? Because when you are famous, when you are put in the spotlight of the world, all of a sudden you blow up. That Michael Jackson, the Justin Bieber, all of a sudden you're put on YouTube and you blow up, and all these people know your name and your household name. The universe will not allow that to happen if you can't take the mental and emotional criticism. Okay. The individual, what is your relationship with yourself? The individual has to have a secure relationship with themselves in order for those things to go forward. Because if not, people will eat us up. Then there's the individuals like our Alex Jones, so headstrong in their relationship with themselves that they're willing to say absolute absurdities and believe themselves. And when they get that constructive criticism back, they completely ignore it. They're completely missing logical explanation, where they're missing logical foundation. Okay, so there's really two sides to all of this of what's going on. Now here's our Sagittarius information. We're talking about philosophy. Okay, these are all philosophies. Listening to myself and guiding myself. I'm hungry. Fill up on that plate. Okay, we're going back to that full moon here, which was very relevant to where we're at now. My relationship with other people. There's 20 other people that need to eat. Am I only going to fill up my plate and only think about what I need to eat? Or am I going to think about the others? Well, I need to eat. I need to think about everybody else. This is the balance of life. We're not here really talking about astrology. We're just talking about balance. That's really what this wheel is. We're just really talking about balance. And the balance right now, as you can see, is being heavily handed in a place of philosophy, of higher education, higher learning. Meaning what? You have to seek information outside of what you currently know in order to get the information that you're seeking, in order to bring you what? Joy. Okay? Because Jupiter here, which rules, or the planet that is associated with Sagittarius, is about joy and happiness and abundance. And it wants more joy and more happiness and more abundance and more philosophies. And if we're beating ourselves up on a daily basis and telling ourselves that we're not good enough, that we're not smart enough, that we're not attractive enough, that we're never going to find that mate, that we're never going to find the person that sees our light, that sees our beauty, it's like we need to find a different philosophy. This philosophy is no longer working for us. So again, this eclipse energy a couple weeks ago, okay, South Node is in Scorpio. This is an emotional attachment. You have an emotional attachment to yourself of not allowing yourself to grow. We have an emotional attachment to ourselves. I deal with this stuff too, guys. It's not like I'm inept just because I know how to read this chart. You know what I mean? It's like I deal with depression. I deal with hard, difficult conversations. I deal with uncertainty of how to communicate. What is to communicate the best? What is to communicate what's going to, leave the best impression? What's not? Doing something is doing something. Doing nothing is doing something, right? Whether we take action or not, it's doing something. Do I make this video today? Do I not make this video today? Either way, it's doing something. By not doing it is something. Mars retrograde, So it's like, this is new philosophy. This is time to take a different approach and a different look at what's going on upstairs, what's going on in my heart, in my mind. What kind of communication am I having with other people? Am I having healthy, expansive communication with other people? Expansive communication that goes out. Am I having conversations that spiral down, where I'm talking about other people, where we're talking about other people and other people's problems? Okay, that is not an expansive conversation. It's up to you. But that's where we were. Where we're moving toward is spiraling out, finding joy in life. Okay, we can be cynical. We can find all the reasons to look at all the angry things in life. There's a lot of things to be upset about. There's a lot of things to be joyous about. And we are magnifying glasses, especially in Sagittarius season, magnifying glasses, and we can magnify the bad or we can magnify the positive. We're going to do one or the other. And you have the choice. We have the choice. Am I going to amplify the negative? Am I going to amplify the emotions that really don't serve me anymore, but that I'm used to, that I'm comfortable with? Well, why don't I have this yet in my life? Well, it's because I'm a loser, because I'm terrible, because I'm not good enough. Why haven't I achieved this thing yet? It's because Mars is retrograde right now. We don't know what the hell's going on in life. Why haven't I achieved this thing yet? Why do I not have a partner? I'm X amount of years old. Why don't I have a child? Why don't I have this job? Why don't I have this notoriety, whatever I'm trying to say. Why not? And it's like, well, when Mars is retrograde here, we don't know where we're going. We don't know how to get there. It's difficult to see through the fog. It's very difficult to see through the fog. It's very difficult to see the exit sign. And that's okay. We don't have to, it's not a race, the first one out. The first one out is the first one out. And if we're in there longer, if we're in that house of mirrors a little longer, trying to decipher, trying to figure things out, trying to sift through the sand, trying to sift through our emotions of what comes with, what stays, and what we're leaving behind, that's okay. We can take that time. That's why Mars is retrograde. Everybody moves at a different pace. Everybody moves at a different speed. Everybody's, going at their own pace, to where we can't be upset because this person figured it out before us, because we're going to figure something out that person didn't. This is all about balance. It's not being upset with ourselves because somebody else, our peer, our friend, our younger sibling, is got something that we don't, or whatever it may be. Time to think bigger. Time to think broader. And again, we have Venus and Mercury conjunct together. And when we're talking about joy, another aspect of joy is love. And Venus loves expansion. There are no limits here on this. There are no limits on love. There are no limits on how much you can love yourself during a day. You can beat yourself up a lot. Let's try a new philosophy. Let's see if we can add positivity to our lives. And if somebody else is beating us up, let's take a different perspective of that. Maybe they're avoiding having the conversation with themselves, so they're picking on me. But the universe has given this to me, so that must mean I'm strong enough to take it. The universe is giving this to me, so I must be strong enough to take it, because the universe isn't going to give me something I'm not strong enough to take. I made it through it. Now, find joy in it. And take that joy and magnify it, and find every little thing in this life that you love and bring joy to it. Find everything in this life that you love and allow it to bring joy to you. And because it brings joy to you, it will bring joy to others. I believe this is an Egyptian philosophy, right? When you die, philosophies. It's a great time to learn new philosophies. Look at other religions, other ideas, other cultures. The Egyptian was when you die on your spiritual whatever, when you're seeing the creator, whatever it may be. They said in the Egyptian theories, there's two questions that get asked to you. One, did you find joy? And 2, did you share it with others? My friends, I hope you find joy in this Sagittarius new moon. I hope you are able to bring it into your hearts, to bring it into your minds, to bring it into your smiles, to exude through every atom of your body, and that you can bring this joy to other people. I love you. I wish you enough. Happy new mooning, friends.